And we'll go into centralized administration. Inside of here we have our backup und restore. And inside of here we're going to go in and perform a backup. Now, this book shows you all the variations that you can do. You can do it this way, or you can do it that way, or you can do it this way over here. You can do a full farm backup is what they start with. And then they say, well, you can just back up this portion, or you can back up this portion, or you can back up this portion. So the book is a great reference because if you just want to back up a certain portion of it, boom, there it is, step by step. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all of that because it uses the same interface. And let me show you this. I'm going to scroll this down a little bit. And if I say farm, notice that it turns everything this lovely shade of blue. And look at all the stuff that's in the farm. Your configuration files, your info path services, your server state service. This is your SharePoint foundations, admin, global search, foundation search, application registry, SQL Server, reporting diagnostics, all this stuff. Just tons and tons of information. So if I decided that I wanted to grab the entire farm, I could do this, I could do the backup. And it will go through and it will tell you whether the backup is there or not. It'll also tell you if the services are running, if it's stopped, if the backup fails, gives you any problems. It'll pop up an error message, all this stuff. Now realize that this is the central administration backup, centralized admin. And you can also back up the farm using SQL Server tools. However, you're just going to get the databases. It's not going to go in and grab your registry settings and your templates and things like that unless they've been loaded into the databases. And also, by having it here, you're able to grab a whole bunch of stuff. But if you did it in SQL, you'd have to do it database by database by database by database. They are going to show you where you can go through and do a backup of the entire machine, how to do this in SQL, all that stuff. Now watch this. Let's say I don't want to do the farm. Let's say that I just want to grab the info path form service. In fact, I want to just grab data connections. When I select data connections, it allows me to select just data connections. But what if I want settings as well? Oh, it only selects one at a time. But what if I say info path form services? Now it grabs the entire block. So if you want to back up just one section, you can select to back up just one section. However, I can't say, oh, I want to grab form templates, and then I want to go down here and grab just this. You can't do that inside of this particular tool. If you wanted to back up just a database that contained this component, you'd go in and do it in SQL. But here, you can either do it one piece and then do a separate backup, or you could go through and do an entire block like info path form services or our user code, or we want to grab our application registry service or the entire thing. This grabs the top part as well as the bottom part. So again, you got to kind of pick and choose what it is that you're going to back it up. If you want to do it with SQL tools, they talk about this over on exercise 12.3 on 475 and 476. So we'll go ahead and exit out of here and let me open up my SQL tools. So I'm going to go into my SQL Server, R2, and we'll grab our Management Studio. And we've shown you this before where you can go in and you can select a particular database, you right-click it, and then you hit Backup. So just remember when you're grabbing database, you're grabbing them database by database by database, and you have lots of clicking and moving around to be able to do all this stuff. So we'll give it a moment here, and then we'll just dive in and we'll go into our content database. So here's our databases. And if I right-click on this, you'll notice that it's just new. I don't really have the option to just grab and save all the databases. So if I wanted to back up like the content, what I would have to do is I would right-click on it, I would go into Tasks, and then I would say Backup. And when I go into Backup, it's going to pop up a dialog box. It's going to say, okay, well, what type of backup do you want to do? You can do a full backup, a differential, or you can get the transaction logs.